Hello, you're listening to Reviewing History, your comedy history podcast. I'm filmmaker and teacher Brian Rupert, joined here by...
As always, Stephen Dagliacco.
And
G, hi.
And we have a very special guest for you today. We are joined here by KP Burke.
What's going on, fellas? Thank you.
Welcome.
Thanks for joining us.
Right on, man. Good to be here with you guys.
Welcome.
So I reached out to him maybe about a year ago. I saw an Instagram reel. I was like, oh, he's funny. And like I saw you, I kind of figured out you were Jersey because like I don't waste my time with people. You know, if they're not local, like,
there's a little Jersey stink on all of us.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, he's local. So I reached out and we were talking. He's like, yeah, I'll do the show. And then I think it was right around the time last year when my daughter was born, and then she had to go back to the hospital and stuff.
All right.
So it just got lost. And then I saw a reel of yours pop up. I was like, oh, fuck. I was talking to him. And then I just...
Oh, yeah, you're talking to Bob Kelly, right?
Oh, Bobby Kelly?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Bobby's the man. He's been super good to me. But you guys, I want to say thank you, too, because you did the one thing. People always, like, screw this one up. They'll ask someone, like, do you want to do the show? And then they don't follow up or anything, or they don't offer a secondary date if it doesn't work out. And not only did he stay on me with that, he was like overly accommodating. So I'm very happy to be. I wanted to do the show. I've never not wanted to do the show, but then things get lost in motion, and then I don't have a valid excuse like family man stuff. But
I also didn't reach out for like a year to kind of be like, hey, let's try to do this. So I was like, oh, let me reach back out, and then I reached out, and we were talking, and we made it work. So
yeah, right amount of perseverance, man. I like it. Happy to be here.
If there's one thing you can say about him, it's perseverance. Forcing us to do 4 episodes.
You're where are you an O&A fan, or were you?
I was, yeah. I mean, it doesn't exist anymore, obviously, but no, I grew up on that stuff, and then a lot of those guys got to be friends of mine, so that's pretty cool. But it's
yeah, you're a Jersey comic. I'm sure you've run into Rich Voss several times.
Voss is a good friend of mine. I was with him last week, actually. He's very, very good to me, and then he still just tears you to pieces on the regular.
Okay, people.
He called me Faye Dunaway one time because I was drinking in a bar across the street from the club.
It's a nice current reference.
And he goes, "That's him. That's him in a nutshell." But he, the best way was he bought me dinner, and then he just goes, "Yeah, I'll buy Faye Dunaway's burger, but she can pay for her beers," and just walked away. And I was like, "All right." He bought me dinner, but I feel terrible about it now. I think that's always the Rich Voss experience, but still a legend, though. I love him.
Legend. That's his self-proclaimed legend.
It was, I think he stole it from Dice, actually, because Dice just started calling himself the legend.
Yeah.
And then
See, Dice, I think, actually is a legend.
So is Voss.
You think a legend?
Absolutely. He's the best. He's the fucking best.
And when you think about how many people stole from him, I'll put it that way. Like not stole like material, but like you talk about with history too. Somebody who does something, the first wave of it is never appreciated. It's always the person influenced by that does the next big thing.
Yeah.
You want to go into a Charlemagne Barbarossa type kind of holy, I can't believe I just tied in the Holy
That was
Roman
nice.
Emperor
That was well done. Welcome to the show.
But,
Is that the first time in history Rich Voss has been compared to
Charlemagne and Barbarossa?
Well, that's Charlemagne, yes. Charlemagne the God. I think there's something. They both have a little speech thing going on too, but no.
I'm calling you Aachen. I have my capital in Aachen.
I got to make that picture. I got some Photoshop work to do.
See, I like that, man.
But yeah. So you have something
I have one
for us.
email. Yeah. So we have a bunch of emails to the people that did email. I'm not going to make our guests sit here and read like specific emails to us. So I have one that's a general question we could all kind of answer.
All right.
The other guys we'll get to you next time. So this is from Ricardo Vasquez.
Long time.
Gentlemen, question for the crew. You have somehow acquired a time machine. Don't ask how or why. Let's pretend Gedham found it near a bottle dump and dragged it back with him.
That's what he does.
With this time machine, you can go back to see any band's live concert to witness their absolute peak of music. You attend the concert, embrace the vibes, and return back home to good old 2024. That means you could see Zeppelin in 70 or 72, Guns N' Roses in a small piss-smelling club in 88 somewhere in L.A., Beatlemania of 66, Bob Dylan in a smoky New York bar. I'm reading this fucking email. I don't know what you want. Bob Dylan in a smoky New York bar in 1964.
Paraphrase.
Nirvana in 1991 before they exploded onto the scene. Sabbath at their peak before they broke up,
Jewel
etc.
in a van in Alaska.
Yeah. The floor is yours. That's
wow.
Yeah.
All right.
That's a good question.
So, and he said, P.S. How's the Patreon idea coming along? I'm ready to send your kids to college, Bihar. Thanks for indulging my question. It's coming.
Yeah, we're
We'll say
working
that.
on it. We're working
It
on
is a good question. I think everybody thinks about this, right?
Yeah.
At some point.
Concert, though, is different.
The first one that jumped in my head was Pink Floyd.
Okay.
It has to be something that I can't see now or never could in my life, right?
Yeah.
So it's got to be that.
I want
Something you missed out
to
on.
see Gigi Allen.
That's a good one.
I mean, that's a hell of a show.
Yeah, I might have died, but
Yeah, I'd want to see Pink Floyd on the Animals tour or Gentle Giant on the Octopus tour. So there you go.
Okay.
full gentle.
You're going
Giant.
full prog.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what matters.
It's
Everything
not
else is
Beethoven, Mozart.
bullshit. No, that's fucking
I kind
stupid.
of want to see. I want to see Death.
Death
Yeah,
in the 90s.
yeah, 90s. That might be good.
Brian.
Do you have one?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
You know?
So I thought about this. You guys were talking about it before, and I bit my tongue. The curse in podcasting, I'm sure you guys know, is that whatever organic conversation's happening in the room is sometimes better than once the mics roll, because then the person gets, you get in your own heads about
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I sat on this one for a second, and then God presented me with a way to bring it up anyway. So thank you to my cousin Ricardo for asking this. But I would go back and see Limp Bizkit, Woodstock '99, right?
Fuck yeah.
And I would
Just
see,
for the rape.
I would see property damage. I want to see property damage. I want to see red hats, and I want to see how many people I could convince that it was actually January 6th. That's my goal. That's where I'm at.
We got to break the Capitol,
I like
yo.
I like the embrace of the chaos.
Yeah.
If nothing else, that's all we can do is be bystanders.
Speaking of Voss, wasn't he there?
He was the host.
Yeah.
He was the host. See? You guys, this is not. I'm not pulling. I'm not pulling.
He really was the host for
Yes.
Woodstock 99.
Yes,
He
he
was
was.
so good.
You know who they got in Woodstock '94? I didn't realize this. They had Farley hosting that. I didn't realize.
I didn't know
Chris
that, no.
Farley hosted Woodstock '94, and then that's then '99 was probably like that. I mean, that's not for nothing. That's probably the height of Voss in terms of mainstream stuff.
Mhm.
I remember him as a kid because Last Comic Standing, me and my family would watch that. He lost to Dat Fan.
Yeah.
What's Dat Fan doing
Well,
now?
the famous thing with him.
I know.
He ended up on Tough Crowd with Colin Quinn, and they just ripped him apart.
Yeah, that was
they,
the end
They
of
ended
it,
his
right?
career by just brutalizing him for a half hour. That
Oh,
fan.
God.
He still gets mentioned. We did the roast of Voss a couple years ago, and
I was there.
You were?
Yeah, I was in the crowd.
Oh yeah, I wrote for that actually. That's funny. I was there too.
It was
Yeah,
great.
That was one of the best. They brought up Dat Fan on that
Incredible.
one too. That's
Yeah.
That's probably the best night of his life. Like we should have just taken him out back and shot him. Awesome guy, great comic, but that was it. That's the zenith.
Yeah.
My pick, I'm. It's so chalky, but how do I not see the Beatles?
Yeah.
You know, like
Right.
Yeah,
I know it's a
But
chalk.
it's not
thing.
even worth it because they're going to suck because all their shows were just screaming people that they couldn't
Lot
even
of
hear
females,
themselves.
Yeah,
It was so bad that they never played live again.
Yeah.
yeah, you're right.
You
You
could
know,
probably
what?
just go see like
I'm gonna see
Backstreet
Zeppelin.
Boys, same thing.
Zeppelin?
Yeah, I'm gonna see Zeppelin.
So I just bullied you into not picking the Beatles?
You presented me with enough logic where I was like, yeah, you know what? Oh no, fuck that. Wait, no, I'm wrong. Rush.
You never saw Rush.
I never got to see Rush. Yeah, I'm going Rush.
Limbaugh?
yeah.
I used to listen to him with my grandma. That's
The
right.
brain hemorrhage got him before I could go.
This is one
Was it a
dream.
brain Oh no, cancer.
Cancer,
Right?
yeah. Yeah, even more fun. We like slow death, not
Not
sudden.
So, well, we usually bring some historic stories, right? Read a little bit, comment. I think I got a good one today.
All right, what do you
I
got?
want to start off. Have anyone ever heard of a man named Elmer McCurdy?
I never heard of him.
No.
This sounds familiar. I don't know why yet.
Did he hunt rabbits?
No,
Okay.
not a FUD guy, but he was a criminal.
Did you say a FUD guy?
Elmer Fudd?
You did say a FUD guy.
FUD guy, yeah.
Okay.
He was a criminal. He
Okay.
was an American outlaw. We're looking at the 1800s to the early 1900s.
Okay.
Okay. He's a cowboy.
Where are we?
Not so much a cowboy. We're in the West,
Okay.
He's
Oklahoma.
a fucking cowboy.
You'll see.
All right.
He's an outlaw. Let's talk about his early life. Not much to say. He was born to a young mother, 17. He was a rebellious teenager, became an alcoholic, kind of sad,
Mhm.
led to a life of crime.
Typical teenage
Typical
stuff.
teenage stuff. He was an apprentice to be a plumber for his grandfather. right?
So is Ace Frehley.
Yeah, but grandfather passed away, his mother passed away. He lost all will and became an outlaw. Let's talk about some of his crimes.
Wait,
See,
what?
that seems kind of ambitious.
Wait, what plumbing is there in the 1800s? Isn't it just like cleaning an outhouse?
That's a great point. I guess the early toilets were around.
Early.
I guess.
Sinks.
Plumbing goes back to the Romans, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Theory,
Yeah.
theory, but very, very minimal.
But I'm thinking of like an old West town. Like, what is there to plumb?
Well, it didn't work.
Well,
it didn't
yeah.
work. You gotta go to a life of crime.
Yeah.
So, but so he joined the army for a brief amount of time where they taught him some demo tactics using nitroglycerin, which will come into play later on.
Okay.
So what this guy would do is decide, I'm going to rob something that has a safe and blow up the safe and get the cash,
Okay.
right? So one of his first robberies, usually a successful robbery, it's like a stick up. This guy finds out that there's going to be a train car that has $4,000
Okay,
in the safe.
that's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. We're talking about 1911.
Okay.
They stop the train, locate the safe. He puts a little bit of nitroglycerin on it, blows it up. They only can get $300 to $500 because he didn't know how to measure it, and the coins got welded to the safe because of the explosion.
Wow.
So
So-
he was a fuck up, to be completely honest.
So he just burnt.
Vaporized the
Yeah.
money.
Vaporized money. Again,
Was
later
he
on
alone
that
in the
year,
heist, or do you think the other?
he
people were
usually has
"What
like
the
2 or
fuck?"
3 people, but he's like, yeah, I got this. Like, I know how to do demos. So he's usually with 2, 3 people.
My uncle was a safe cracker. Actually, not my uncle. My wife's uncle.
I don't know if you should be.
Really?
Yeah.
Can you say that?
Yeah, we allowed to.
Yeah, probably not.
Oh, we didn't mention his name, right?
Yeah.
So later on that year, still, we're talking 1911, he attempts to rob Citizen Bank in Kansas. They spend
They
2
did my
hours.
mortgage in Staten Island.
Citizen Bank?
Yeah.
Well, they got robbed by this guy. Not a lot, but they spend 2 hours breaking through the wall to get to the safe door. He decides, I'm using nitroglycerin
Wait,
again.
So they spent 2 hours digging.
Digging into the actual location
And he
where
just
the safe
goes,
is.
Wait,
Fuck
under
this.
the building?
No, through the wall. So like
Oh.
we're like, here's a
Nobody
wall.
noticed?
We're probably talking at nighttime when nobody's there.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right. Yeah,
Did you see
makes
that
sense.
story recently in I think California? This like armored truck depository, I guess. They found a hole on the side of it. These criminals blew a giant like Bugs Bunny sized hole that you could walk through
Mhm.
That's kind of what happened here.
into there. And they stole, I think, $3.8 million. It's one of the largest heists in the history of the country.
Jimmy!
Yeah. They didn't realize it was taken for almost like 2 or 3 months.
Wow.
Before like
What?
I think like it was a helicopter shot or someone from the road drove by and they're like, there's like a hole patched up on the side of this reserve. What is this? They blew it up and then just put like a plywood on top of it. Yeah, they like walked in, stole 3.8 million and left.
Wow.
We gotta get into that business. They
I
got
was
away
like,
with
why
it.
didn't I
Yeah.
fucking think of
Got
that?
away with it. Well, this guy didn't do as good. So they break through this wall and they're met face to face with this safe door. He puts nitroglycerin on it, blows it up, but he doesn't know how to measure.
Again.
The
He didn't
door
learn his lesson.
blows off the hinges, goes through the room, destroys the room completely.
Just like
Does not hit the safe they're aiming for. Because
Wait, they wanted the door
the vault door.
to explode into the safe?
Yeah.
These are cartoon characters. These aren't real people.
Yeah. They all get scared because they're like, oh my God, we
Now
got a ton of
everyone's gonna
noise
know.
and the safe isn't open. We
Uh-huh.
got to get out. They make out $150 that's sitting in like a bowl that was being like weighed.
that's it.
That's all they make.
But that's like found money too, you know.
Nothing. Yeah. It's nothing.
How much are they spending?
They're
to
spending
get
more
the
on
glycerin?
nitroglycerin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now let's talk about his final robbery and death, and then the real story begins.
What?
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. His final robbery, October 1911. So this is all in like a year time span. They find out there's a train car containing $400,000 in cash. That is a
Wow.
huge score for anyone, even today. It's pretty
400
good.
grand, yeah.
It is a royalty payment
What year is that?
for the Osage Nation. This is 1911.
1911. Oh, they're
This
giving
is
it to the
your,
Indians?
Yeah,
Give it to
your
the Indians.
Killers of the Flower Moon.
Right.
Type. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
The
Right on.
oil Indians.
And they want to steal this. You're looking up the
I'm looking up the value,
Okay.
yeah.
They-
It's $12 million today.
sick. That's a good heist.
Yeah.
If you got the right train. They stop the wrong train. It's a passenger train, and they leave with about $46.
Did
They steal like
blow
a
anything
coat, some
up?
whiskey, and like
These
like
guys
a
are the
gun.
worst.
They're horrible. But because this was a passenger train, they got eyes on who it was, and the cops go to get this guy. The whiskey that he stole, he drinks it all, passes out in a barn, and there's a massive shootout between 3 cops and this guy. Shots are fired back and forth. He's hit in the chest.
All
He
right.
dies. Sad
Killed
day.
by cops.
Sad day.
What was his name? McClintock?
Elmer McCurdy.
Oh.
Occurred.
Now we get into the fun stuff of this guy's life.
All right.
Death, actually.
What happened?
The Undertaker transports him
What about
To get
Kane and
embalmed.
Mankind?
to get embalmed. Oh, fuck you. He's involved by a man named Joseph L. Johnson.
So you have to say an Undertaker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all it's roughly
The
the same
Undertaker.
age. We all went a certain
He
place in
sits
our
up,
head.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He just had the courage to say it out loud. Now the Undertaker had been hiding under the vault the entire time.
He was waiting. My God.
Started wrestling in 1912. So they embalm him with arsenic
Okay.
because they have to preserve his body because somebody has to come claim him. But arsenic costs some money
Why arsenic?
because it helps preserve him.
They didn't have formaldehyde yet?
At
No,
this
they
point, it's
Okay.
just this preserves it longer.
There's old lace, too.
Okay.
Yeah. This preserves it a lot longer. Specifically because there's no kin known. So it's like, we'll
Yeah.
wait till somebody shows up. Nobody shows up.
Mhm.
Nobody shows up to claim this
Doesn't
guy.
have a friend in the world.
Doesn't have a friend in the world. But now this guy's out money for his services. He's like, I got to make some money back. What can I do?
I lost money fucking taking
I lost
care
money
of
taking this guy and taking care of him, right?
Put him on display.
He puts him on display. So for a nickel, you could see this guy's body.
Okay.
He is now dawned as the mystery man of many aliases, the Oklahoma outlaw, the embalmed bandit.
So he builds it up.
He's now an attraction at the funeral home.
Hell yes.
It's great, right?
Would you mind that for your death?
It gets crazier.
Could be worse.
I wouldn't
It
mind.
gets worse. It gets ridiculous.
I wouldn't mind if people were paying to see me. I
Mind
think
you,
that's
this
cool.
is 1911.
Yeah, you're kind of freakish.
Yeah.
Keep this in
Like
mind.
the Elephant Man.
1911. October 1916, Johnson gets contacted by a man named Aver who says he's a long lost brother from California
Okay.
and we have to ship him out. We're going to bring him to San Francisco for a proper burial. Aver arrives with another man named Wayne. They say, we're his brothers. We're going to take him home. Instead, they ship him to Arkansas City, Kansas, where the brothers are actually a traveling carnival for the Great Patterson Carnival
Love
Show.
this. Perfect.
They scammed him.
They stole the body.
They stole the body.
Wow.
That was now like a tourist attraction and is now in a traveling carnival.
This is great.
He has an odyssey after his death.
And now it's like fucking Wizard of Oz time.
Yeah.
Like with that, what's that guy?
Well, you're oddly enough, you're in Ripley's world right now.
Yeah.
This is his heyday. He's got his stuff.
Yeah.
Tell me that comes up.
He becomes the outlaw who would never be captured alive. Until 1922, when Patterson sells his operation to Sonny, Louis Sonny. Sonny is now using his corpse in a traveling museum of crime.
Oh.
Oh, so it's like, like these are famous criminals. Like this is Dillinger's like hanky and shit
No.
like that, I guess.
He thinks it's a wax replica.
Oh.
There's a wax replica of Bill Doolin, Jesse James, and this dude.
He thinks it's wax.
He thinks it's wax,
Wow.
and he's presenting it as such.
Until
Until 1928, when now the corpse was part of the official sideshow that accompanied the Trans-American Foot Race. So now there's
the
more
hell's the
attention.
Well, yeah,
Trans-American
what is
foot
that?
race?
It's just like a race.
It's a bunch of
Like
men
running
dressed as
across
women.
country.
Yeah. So it's like an attraction that's attached to it. Like think the World's Fair, and then they bring like here's a wax museum, so people
Mhm.
are seeing this and it's
Right.
becoming known.
Hi, Daddy. I'm going.
Remember,
for
this
a
started in
run.
1911. 1911. 1933. It is now acquired for a time by director Dwayne Esper to promote his exploitation film Narcotic. So they're using this corpse as a promotional piece to say, look what drugs do to people.
And they don't
because
know it's a corpse.
They don't know it's a corpse. They think it's a withered wax figure,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a withered corpse, and they're just presenting it like, look what drugs do to you.
Right. Why hasn't it decomposed?
It's slowly decomposing.
But the
Okay.
arsenic, I guess, has helped it.
It's helped it. Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe he's a saint. Sometimes those don't go bad.
Well, now it gets.
Saint of failed explosions.
I have a feeling this story kind of like made that movie, right? When they drag the body around.
Weekend at Bernie's.
Weekend at Bernie's. Yeah, it reminds me of it a little bit. Sonny, the one who was doing
Fuck it, Sonny Black.
who was renting out the body, dies. in 1949, and the corpse is now in storage until 1964. It's just sitting there.
It's just sitting in storage.
Sitting there until 64. Sonny's son Dan lends it to filmmaker David F. Friedman.
It's in the movies?
It's in She-Freak in 1967. Yeah, as a prop.
She-Freak.
Yeah. 1968, he sells the body with wax figures to Spoonie Singh, the owner of Hollywood Studio Max Museum, who rents it out again.
Wow.
David Lynch marries the corpse.
When he rents it out, I believe it went to the production of The $6 Million Man at one point.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Jonathan Majors? Yeah, right?
Yes, that sounds
Yeah.
right.
The reason why? It was sold to the owner of the Pike Amusement Zone in California where they were filming it. Now, what happened is somebody working on the set was moving pieces around, and they went to move his body.
They broke it.
His arm falls off. And they're thinking it's a wax figure. I'll
Yeah.
put it back.
Right.
He goes to put it back and sees there's a bone with muscle. And he's like, what is happening here? Mind you, it's in an amusement zone, like attraction. It's spray painted with fluorescent paint. So it's like bright green and yellow
Wow.
and orange. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like glowing. and
Glowing.
shit.
Yeah. So they call the cops, like, they're storing dead bodies here.
Yeah.
They do some investigation, some forensics, and find out who it is and what happened. And they're like, "Oh my God, this guy's been on attraction until like the 70s,
Wow.
So from when did this guy
1911.
from 1911
until this like
till-
74."
So like 60 years. Wow.
They're finally like, "We have to give this guy a proper burial." A bunch
I would want him. Yeah.
want him. So did a bunch of funeral homes. Like, we'll bury him for free. Give him to us. And the cops were like, "No, they're going to try to steal this body." They bury him in 2 feet of cement
Why?
to make sure nobody
What,
steals
so he
him.
doesn't come back?
To make sure
Is he a
nobody
vampire?
steals him because he's an attraction. Yeah.
This is so
Nosferatu.
eerily close to. I can't believe isn't this very close to Lenin?
Yeah.
Wasn't
Well,
it-
they had his body on display.
Yeah.
I think it still is.
In
actually.
glass.
It's like
yeah.
preserved,
Yeah.
almost perfect. It's kind of a creepy thing.
So Elmer McCurdy had a giant odyssey after he died. This little criminal who failed.
This guy rules.
Yeah, right.
There was
That's the story.
I wasn't sure where you were going. That was a great story. But the
So real quick, Lenin's body is on display and has been since 1930.
30.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So.
that makes sense.
creepy. There was a pope in not a pope. I'm sorry. There was a bishop in St. Augustine, Florida. I think he was a Jesuit or something like that. But you guys ever been down to St. Augustine, Florida?
No.
I've been to Disney World.
There's three. There's
The
three
oldest
of
city in America.
It is
Yeah.
right on, dude. I was stationed in Jacksonville, Florida, so every weekend we drive down to St. Augustine and go see
Right.
something historical or whatever.
Navy.
Yeah, very very fun town down there too. For it's a good drinking town. If I was still getting after it, I'd be there still.
No,
But,
it's full of Catholics.
they're fun that way, man. They're fun. A little bit of everything too. Everybody was always trying to take over St. Augustine. They got taken over by everybody. So at one point
Yeah.
they were French, Spanish, American, British. There was a pirate that pretty much ran the place for a while too. Pretty interesting character. Louis Henri was his name. But my favorite part of the story was that there was I guess a visiting bishop that was very very popular, and he died, and everybody wanted to come pay their respects to him. And so this is early 1800s, I would say. And they put him in a glass case to display the body so the visiting dignitaries could come pay their respects to him. And they didn't realize the gases that build up during decomposure.
Oh, no.
So what wound up happening was, I'm not even kidding, the bishop's body, I keep calling him the Pope, I'm sorry. The bishop's body exploded because the gas built up in the gas. So they actually he's known as the exploding bishop of St. Augustine. That's 100% a true story. I don't know if it went off during the funeral mass or if
How
it
many
did.
bars have been named the exploding bishop in St. Augustine?
What a
after
miss.
that?
What a miss. I don't think there was one.
Oh, I would immediately do that,
Yeah,
right?
What a miss, dude.
I know our next venture. That's sick.
Very funny.
But yeah, that's the story. You can look it up.
McCurdy.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, Elmer.
See, I feel like the government had a duty to keep this guy on display somewhere, like at the Smithsonian.
Let him be buried.
No,
Give him
he-
against his
some
will.
dignity.
He's-
no.
he's like a Forrest Gump. Like he's seen like he was a cowboy and now he's here. Like that's a crazy journey. Like you should preserve
It's an
that.
odyssey. But at the same time, he didn't want it. He never asked to be dragged along.
They did that to Morgan Freeman in Unforgiven. Remember?
I haven't seen that in a while.
When
Best not decorate your bar with my friends.
There you go. Yeah. Who goes?
I'll
Brandon?
go.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
what do you got?
I have a French one. The Bal des Ardennes.
I love when you do French. It's just the best.
I'm a stupid American. Bal des Ardennes. Is that better?
Is it the Ardennes Forest?
Ardents.
No.
Ardennes.
No, different.
No.
Yeah.
I thought I was there with you. Buddy.
Yeah, no, it's not the Ardennes. So this is.
Do you want to give a disclaimer for when you slaughter pronunciation? Because I do it all the time. It actually, oddly enough, helps with engagement because people wind up messaging me and they're like, "Hey, so I'm Spanish. Can you just stop trying to say this word?" It would be huge for me. I love your show, just stop doing it.
You should hear him try to pronounce Greek words.
Oh, it's I
Even harder.
butcher it. It's so bad.
Yeah, you pretty much to speak any like those languages, you pretty much have to be like in the process of hawking a loogie, and then,
Yeah.
and then for some reason,
It's like who's that?
Agamemnon.
Agamemnon. I
There
have
you
to like
go.
really say it slowly. I
Yes.
can't just say his name.
It took him like
It's,
a month.
it's there, dude. It's you understand why Latin became popular. Latin's actually easy by comparison.
English supposedly is one of the hardest languages, right?
That's what they say.
I'm biased. I speak it. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think it means we're better than everybody else.
Yeah, of course. Goes without saying.
But so this is France. We are in 1393.
Oh,
All right.
it was a very good year.
So Charles the Sixth. This is King Charles the Sixth.
Mhm.
He is known as kind of a mad king. So he was supposed to be king when he was 12, but like his uncle kind of took over. When he became 18, he became king.
Yeah, Stewart.
Yeah, someone was in charge before him, and then until he was 18, then he took power.
Never really ends well when
Yeah.
you take power young.
So he's 18, he becomes king, and one day he's on a hunting trip, and he starts like twitching, going nuts, freaking out. Everyone's like, "What the fuck?" And he's like screaming about like all this weird shit. Everyone's like, "What the fuck is going on with him?" They think now he may have been schizophrenic.
Okay.
But back then they didn't know what the fuck was going on
He's
with
possessed.
him. Yeah, he's just screaming his head off, being a maniac.
Mm-hmm.
They bring him back in, they take care of him. He develops insane paranoias as time goes on. He thinks that he is made of glass.
Oh, yeah. I know this guy.
You know this guy.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, if you know how the story ends, don't.
He fights Henry V. We talked about him when we did The King.
Yeah, but this is a particular story.
Okay.
So he thinks that he is actually made of like physical glass.
Yeah.
He has them build like metal rods into his clothing to like help his limbs so he can move and
Yes,
stuff,
he's
right?
afraid of shattering.
Yeah, he honestly thinks he's glass. So at this time, there's a real growing divide between the regular people and the nobles.
Mm-hmm.
They're like,
Age-old story.
yeah, but they're really like, what the fuck is going on up there? This fucking king
Being
is-
run by a maniac.
Yeah, the guy thinks he's glass.
Mhm.
Like, we hate this. And he's really not going out. Eventually, there's going to be a wedding. This girl is having, like, some relation is having a third
Royal wedding.
Yeah. The guy's brother shows up and is like, hey, this is a third wedding. Like, it's not expected to be like this super high class ordeal because it's a third wedding.
Mhm.
You know, it's like less special. So they're like, we can go and just kind of fuck around. I got these costumes for us. We're gonna dress as woodsmen, like creatures made of wood. So it's like made of bark and all this, right? You are gonna cover ourselves in dry wood and tar.
This is very strange.
Yeah, they cover themselves in dry wood and tar. They chain themselves together, and they're gonna fuck with everybody and say they're wood spirits. And because they're in masks and surrounded by wood, like we can fuck with people, yell at people. No one's gonna know it's us. You know, we could bust everyone's balls, right?
Mhm. It's
Sounds-
a big gag.
It's a big
Sounds
gag.
Fun to do at someone's wedding.
They show up at the wedding.
Should have done it at yours.
They start causing hell.
Mhm.
They're like kicking things over. They're cursing everybody. And people are like, who the fuck are these wooden people
Right.
that are chained together? Now some people that like were involved were told that they're gonna be there. Keep fire away from them, because if fire touches them,
Wood.
they're going to ignite. They're covered in tar
Yeah.
and wood.
Yeah.
So as they're fucking with people, the guy, Charles's brother, shows up late, and he didn't get this memo.
The dolphin.
And he's holding a torch,
Oh my god.
and he's like, "What the fuck is going on here?"
Get the memo.
And he leans closer to try to decide to try to see who it is.
Mhm.
An ember flies off, hits one guy.
And he
He ignites.
bursts into
It
flames.
spreads throughout the whole chain. All the dudes chained together are screaming on fire as they're being engulfed.
burn the
Well,
people
this is a
of the wood.
prank gone bad.
Yeah, in the woods,
Yeah.
is just Alex. You see the Bohemian Grove? There's a pagan ritual.
They got a woodman. They got a wicker man.
Oh, man.
There's bees. So they're screaming in terror. They're chained together. No one can get out.
It's a good wedding.
This is a great scene.
Yeah. One guy jumps into like a barrel of wine. He ends up living because like he doused
Wine.
himself. And a 14-year-old girl, some relative of the king, knows it's him, and she throws like a blanket or towel on him, and she's able to put him out. Everybody else roasts alive. One guy lives for like 3 days in excruciating agony. Supposedly, guests said they saw their genitals burn off and fall to the floor
Nice.
as they were at the
God.
party.
What a wedding.
Yeah. I just picture, The Shining, where the guy's like, hell of a party.
Great party.
Yeah.
My God. Is that like top disasters that could happen at your wedding outside of like other things? Like, that's pretty bad.
I mean, like 9 dudes immolating has to be up there, right?
Good
It
word.
was six people.
I was gonna say it was 9 of them.
So it was 4 people burnt together. So this is what they had. The costumes were sewn onto the men. They were made of linen soaked with resin and flax.
God.
Oh, something old, something new. There
Yeah.
you go. Yeah.
The
and
joke is so bad too. Like we're gonna be wood people and kick things.
just fuck with people. Yeah. It was just they wanted to be assholes and get away with it.
Uh-huh.
So they're like Gen Zers doing pranks.
Getting smacked by
Yeah.
bodybuilders.
So they light up. Eventually, word of this spreads to the fucking people,
Yeah.
and they hear about this fucking insanity,
All right.
and they hate the nobles even more.
Mhm.
They're like, you're putting on weird costume parties, immolating people,
Yes.
and we're here fucking suffering.
In the
And it
100
just-
Years' War.
Exactly. And it kind of just furthers the divide a bit.
Mm.
And that is known as the Bal des Ardennes.
I have never heard of that.
Yeah.
It's a horrible wedding.
I guess it's my turn.
Yeah.
Yeah, go
Okay.
ahead.
Well, spoiler alert. We're going to be doing the death of Stalin.
We did it already, didn't we?
No.
This is a pick
Oh,
episode.
you're right. Yeah.
You're okay.
Yeah. So,
You're all here.
so I was in that kind of mind frame. So I remembered this story and I thought I'd share it with you all. It kind of ties in.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I didn't know you were going to talk about a heist.
Oh, it wasn't
Kind
much of
of.
a heist.
So that's what I'm also talking about. The Tiflis bank heist, 1907.
Around the same time, too.
Yeah.
Where
Where
modern,
are we?
modern day Tbilisi, which is in Georgia,
Okay.
which is part of, at the time, the Russian Empire.
That's where Stalin's from.
And he is in the story.
Okay.
Southern gentleman.
Yes. So this is the early days of the Bolsheviks. It's
Okay.
before the revolution.
They're
They're-
growing.
They're all on
They're mostly slam poets still at this point.
right. Yes.
Right on.
They're all on lists for the Okhrana, which is the Russian Tsar's secret police that are, hunting these guys.
Not doing a good enough job.
Lenin is in exile at this point out in, I think he's in Berlin at this particular moment. Stalin kind of made his name as being a tough guy.
He's like a thug.
He's a thug. He's a criminal.
The
He's
Butcher,
a
right?
robber.
Wasn't that his nickname? Was the Butcher? before he became-
Stalin means man of steel. He gave
He
himself
made that name up.
Hell
Yeah.
I didn't know this, by the way. Did you guys know that Hitler's last name wasn't Hitler?
What was it?
This is a true story. I just found this out. I can't believe it.
I didn't know that.
Hitler's father changed their last name to Hitler.
Mm.
They're originally, I think it was Schickelgruber, which is literally means money grubber.
Is that really?
Well,
The irony that he's going to come to power. And
There
we
are
gotta go
stories
after
out there that say he was secretly Jewish. I don't know how true that is, but If your name is Money Grubber.
There's a self-loathing thing in there too. But yeah, I didn't know that one. So Stalin gave himself the name too?
Yeah.
What was his actual name? That's what I always like to know.
Oh God.
putting you on
It's,
the spot.
it's
I'm
very
Sergey
Russian.
something.
You can get it up. Yeah.
Yeah, what's his real
Nothing
name?
gay about the steel man.
A man of steel.
Joseph. Well, hold on. No, because this is giving me his fucking.
Stalin.
What is Stalin's original name?
Fucking where is
How
it?
hard is this to find? This is a quick one.
Because it says, because Stalin comes up. I put in Stalin real name. It says Joseph Vissarionovich
That's it.
Yeah.
Stalin.
Vissarionovich.
I think it's Vissarionovich.
Okay. So like I said, he's kind of like running a gang of robbers, bandits
Mhm.
in this Georgian backcountry.
Getting money for the fucking Bolsheviks.
He is a Bolshevik, and he's kind of like in charge of getting cash for them. They get
Protection
tipped
rackets, all
off
that
by
stuff.
his friend who works at the brand new Tbilisi bank that's being built, that there's going to be a shipment coming from St. Petersburg by stagecoach of 341,000 rubles.
Midnight tonight. They're hitting Duncan's toy chest.
5 floors of cash.
Some wacky, plucky kid is gonna fucking swing Borshit.
That's $3.1 million in today's money.
Okay.
Right? This is a big haul if they can pull this off.
Mm.
So they get the date that it's going to be coming into town. They don't know exactly when, so they're going to have to stake out the area, right? It's June 26, 1907. They get like 10 guys. They stand around in the square in disguises. Like one guy's holding a newspaper, another guy's dressed up as a soldier, and they're like just waiting for the
Casing the
stagecoach
area.
to pull in.
One's got a Reagan mask on.
Yeah. Middle of
I feel like this looks very suspicious. 10 dudes in a courtyard, just like
I'm sure they're moving around. So finally, the stagecoach pulls into the square. It's like maybe 2 blocks away from the bank, and it's got it's an armored like stagecoach. It's got a guy with a shotgun, much like you see in the Old West movies, and then behind it is another carriage with a bunch of soldiers in it to protect it,
backup.
and Cossacks like on horseback that are guarding the thing.
Yeah.
Right
Not an easy haul.
now, Stalin and all his guys have grenades and revolvers and everything, and the element of surprise. So the guy with the newspaper sitting on a bench kind of just tips, and that signals everybody to attack at the same time. So they massacre the soldiers and throw grenades at the carriage and everything. It kills the guy on the carriage. The horses are all mangled. They start running.
It's like when Sonny gets whacked in the Godfather in the
Right,
toll
right.
booth.
they end up scoring a death toll of like 40 people.
Holy shit.
This is the crowd. The square is crowded too.
Yeah.
The death of one is a tragedy. But
Yes.
a million is just a statistic.
Very good. The man himself. This guy Kamo, who's Stalin's friend, he's in his gang. He's got a carriage himself. He's the getaway driver.
Okay.
He chases down the horses which have run away with the money. They stop it.
He shoots the bus driver, right?
So he grabs the money. They get away. They get to a safe house that they have in town. They hide out for a few days. And little by little, they shuffle the money out of the country to Finland, where Lenin is waiting for it.
Okay.
So they get the money to where it needs to go. The problem with that is this money is all marked. The high bills, anyway. They have 500 ruble notes. So they can't use most of it. So this was a waste of time for everybody.
Oof.
But the Okhrana still wants to arrest all these guys and hunt them down.
Yeah, I mean, they killed 40 people.
This guy Kamo gets picked up. They track him down. He's kind of known as like a dummy. They track him down in Germany, and they bring him back to St. Petersburg. They torture him. They put him in jail on trial. He will maintain.
I have a dumb question.
What's up?
He's like extradited?
Yeah. Well, the secret police will just go
And grab
yeah,
you? Okay.
Right. Yeah. It's Europe in the early 20th century.
Okay, I got
it. There's still all monarchies at this point. It's before World War One.
Yeah.
So, all Nick has to do is call up Willie and say, I'm sending some guys in.
And they get him.
So they get this guy, And he will maintain for the rest of his life that he's insane. Like, that's his defense.
I'm crazy.
Yes. And he will, while he's in prison, eat his own shit and like set himself on fire and do wacky
Everything
shit.
would just say he's
just
crazy.
like
I don't know,
keep
maybe
saying
he
he's
was
crazy, trying to get
I
up.
feel like eating your own shit is.
He's on
pretty
trial.
crazy.
Like, they have him shuffling through the system to like mental hospitals and stuff for years and years and years until 1917. Look what happens. His boys are in power and they let him out of prison finally.
And like he's out and he's still eating shit. He was fucking crazy.
It wasn't lying.
But yeah, that's how Stalin kind of made his bones.
What happens to the guy after?
Kamo?
Yeah.
Oh, Stalin gave him like a job.
Yeah.
Like throughout the 30s.
Until Stalin was like, yeah, you're too liked. And
he was killed in the purges. Yeah.
Damn, man.
Yeah.
It's usually how it goes if you're friends with Joe.
Yeah.
We did it, Joe. Yep.
We did it.
Yeah, but, so that's like his
gulags.
big like heist, I guess.
Yeah, that's what kind of put him on the map and got him like as a part of the inner circle.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow.
Cool.
I wonder how much they actually made out with though, because they couldn't use a lot of those bills. Like
they made, like I said, they made out with all that money, the $3.1 million worth, but
how much
most
did
of
they
it was
use?
unusable.
Yeah.
Well, once Lenin comes back in 1917.
Yeah, I'm sure they had it sitting on ice.
Yeah.
Sitting on ice.
They probably traded with it, honestly. You know, they probably gave it to like a German
Well, they tried
guy.
they actually tried to launder it out of the country, but like the government tipped off all the European banks. And it was up. So yeah.
Don't take these marked bills.
Yeah.
What was the year on this one too? This is obviously.
It's 1907 was the heist.
Damn. All right. So you're actually pre-World War One.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's trippy, man.
Young Stalin.
Young Stalin.
We need that
handsome guy.
Yeah,
You ever see a
apparently he
picture
was
of
a
him?
looker.
We need that as a show. Like, you know how they have like Young Rock and
Young Sherman,
Young
Sheldon.
He definitely
young Chris. Is that the Chris?
Everybody
Rock show?
hates Chris.
Everybody hates Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have all these young shows. Young Stalin about his early
Young
adventures.
Stalin was a looker. He does not look Russian.
Well, he's not. He's Georgian.
But if you look at him, it's like,
Oh wow, he is handsome. He's a striking man.
You would.
You're a handsome man, Mr. Stalin.
You would, right? I think we all would.
That guy can roll into like any club and walk away with chicks.
Yeah, he's like, listen, I play bass in the Strokes.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
That's why they call him the Man of Steel, I guess. Because it steals your girl.
Oh shit!
Oh shit!
That's what it is too. I wonder if there really is like such a. If you're not a good-looking person, the world is so much harder on you. Like Lenin is vilified in his own life, and then just gets replaced by a handsome, worse version of himself.
Well, by that time, he wasn't as handsome anymore. He's all pockmarked and fucked up.
It's
But I think it's innate in your personality almost, you know?
when you've grown up with whatever that bubble is of being a good-looking
Yeah.
person. Because I'm not saying I'm a good-looking guy, but I've also been 30 pounds heavier before. I'm like, oh wow, life is so much easier when I'm just remotely keeping it together. So, damn man, yeah,
Wouldn't know.
Got fuckboy hair and everything over there.
Yeah, he looks like a Gen Zer.
Let me see. Let me see. Real quick.
There's a
I
little.
wanna
If
see
you wanted to
this
make that
thing.
argument, like that, there's that lazy argument that Trudeau is Castro's son,
Oh, I
Yeah.
totally believe it.
and
Yeah,
there's some stuff that's worth believing on that because actually, what I like that you guys are doing, you're doing straight up history. What I've caught some flack for is like when we go down the conspiracy wormhole. Like I'm always like, no, we're doing the history show here. People are like, yeah, but what about this? And I'm like, no, just do what we can prove right now. Don't let the imagination thing run wild. And then the other side of the political aisle is always trying to be like, well, I mean, it sounds like you're building him up to be a great guy, but he owned slaves back then.
no.
It's like, I'm not saying it's right. It's just it was an entirely acceptable practice at the time.
Sure.
So we don't know what weird thing we're doing right now that could be looked on poorly later on. But my theory on that one is there's a little
I
Che
think we
Guevara
know.
to him. There's a little Che Guevara to what this good-looking Stalin.
Oh, wow.
You see it?
So you think he made his way down south?
Maybe.
I wonder, man. I mean,
Trotsky died in Mexico, right?
Yeah.
And you get into the weird stuff with Argentina.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah, we can go in that.
Suddenly blonde twins are showing up in Brazil.
Well, so I watched this I watched all of Hunting Hitler on History
Oh, my
Channel.
God.
Which is just like, do you know about the show?
No, but I do. It is the H stands for Hitler on History Channel. We know that,
Yeah.
right?
So
It's their ratings boon.
So Hunting Hitler operates under the premise, and I watched it because there's an MMA fighter I like,
Tim
who's
Kennedy.
like one of the guys, Tim Kennedy.
Yeah.
Oh, he's the man.
Yeah, so it operates on the premise that Hitler escaped from Germany at the end of World War II.
Right.
Where did he go? So they go to like the area and they're like,
well, Argentina is the big one for escape Nazis.
well, so
the Perón
I mean,
government.
there's German
Well,
towns.
hold on, give me a second. So they go through like all this stuff and like what the escape route was and all this.
Mhm.
Eventually they go to Argentina, obviously, because they track all this stuff and
Mhm.
all the Nazis are in Argentina.
Mhm.
And the weirdest fucking thing that they find is there's this German community that's like a private gated community. They get their way in and they're filming.
Oh yeah,
And it's like
this is famous.
It's Dusseldorf, fucking like Argentina. Like
Yeah.
they're in like Lederhosen and shit.
You know, there's a Confederate town in Brazil of ex-Confederates from the American Civil War.
I never
that-
heard that.
Oh yeah, they're
That's-
still there. They speak English. They fly the
Confederate
stars
flag.
and bars.
Really?
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's like we could go there and be like, hey, what's
Yeah.
up, Yankee? Or no, we
So
wouldn't
you're
say
telling me
Yankee.
that there's a town that will accept all of my grandfather's currency.
That's
that
right.
we found.
Yeah.
Everything that was left to me. Oh my God.
Oh, you could be a baller down there.
Finally, a use for this
In the
paper.
Amazon rainforest.
I'm gonna see pictures of him later. He's tan.
100%, man.
Has a straw
Nice
hat.
suits.
We're drinking a mint julep.
This is my wife, Consuela.
White
That's-
suit.
No, better yet, my wife's name, Hilaria. That would be the appropriate name.
That's a good name for a comedian.
Hilaria?
Yeah.
Oh, it's there too. It's also a good name if you're faking being Spanish. That's a-
So
I have a very good friend in Rome, Biggest Dickus.
there's a-
Did you see
there's a
that
wife, you know.
Incontinenti.
real quick, because you mentioned the Amazon. Did you see that story recently about the Amazon tribe that got Starlink?
Yeah, and they immediately became addicted to porn.
Addicted to porn
Yeah.
and like there was something else they got addicted to.
Yeah, social media.
Social media and porn, and they can't like the chiefs like were interviewed and like our society has basically collapsed.
Yeah,
They can't stop jerking off and watching porn.
yeah.
Wow.
Like nobody works or does anything anymore.
back this one up for me for 2 seconds.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No.
So
Where are they?
Starlink got set up. Where is this?
Some
is in, like-
remote Amazon place, right?
Tribesmen.
Tribesmen in Amazon.
Oh,
You know what
dude,
Starlink
so-
is?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to make sure I had where the root cause was going on because you're talking about people who I'm
Not
this is a-
uncontacted people, but people
Right.
that live in the remote Amazon that have never been,
They don't
part
have
of the
contact really with
civilized
the
world.
outside
That's like
world.
trying to come in like season 4 of The Sopranos.
Right.
You're like, hang on, what's going on here?
Who's Cosette?
Who's Ralphie? They keep talking about Ralphie. What was he all about? Oh my God.
Yeah, and like the society is just crumbling because they won't stop jerking off.
Yeah. They
We
didn't have
did it,
time.
Yeah. To be fair,
It's like the Meiji Restoration. They condensed a lot of progress into a very small amount.
that's like an atom bomb on your society because imagine like you could look at the internet. You're living in like a jungle, shitting in a fucking bush, and you could look at there's plumbing and
I love
skyscrapers.
the way that you kind of condense what jungle living's all about.
Isn't that what it fucking is?
Shitting in a bush. That's it. You're in a jungle.
It's a very important advancement in technology for me, I have never shit outside. I never want to shit outside.
You're in the Navy. You must have shit outside.
Oh, it's that's the tricky part of the Navy, man. It's when you shit, you're floating around with it, until you go back into port. That's actually what I was in charge of was all the sanitation equipment.
Really?
Oh yeah, my job was a hull technician. They're affectionately known as turd chasers.
Nice.
That's true. Yeah, I
Destroyer?
Yes,
Carrier?
sir. No,
All right.
destroyer. I was a tin can guy, USS Carney, which is still being used right now. They're actually they just took out missiles being fired from somewhere off the coast of where were they? It was in response to something going on with the Ukraine. I forget. They're like shooting down
Sevastopol?
drones like left and right. It's kind of interesting.
Wow.
The you
From
said
the boat?
Argentina. Yeah. Oh, that's all it is. We're anti-aircraft.
Okay.
But they're it's anti-aircraft and anti-submarine. Each boat's supposed to have a job or whatever. And pretty much everything is protect the carrier. So the
Mhm.
game Battleship teaches you pretty much the Navy.
Yeah.
I hate to say it. But I was thinking of something. I was curious what direction to go in because you guys both did Heist, which I love. I enjoy your show. You guys have a good report too.
Oh,
Thank
thank
you.
you, man.
And
thanks.
well, it's because the history stuff is like people abandon it for the sake of it. I've crafted out my show's called American Loser, and I crafted out a perfect unwelcome spot in all. Like I have no country because comedy people are like, yeah, it's a great show, but it's not like funny all the time. Like it's funny, but it's not. You know what I mean? He doesn't have other comics on really like I like, and then then history people are like, you guys curse too much.
Yeah, that's our show.
Yeah.
Which is funny because
Yeah.
for me over at a shared universe is that it's actually our sound guy that does all the cursing.
Yeah, it's Brian.
That's
Yeah.
see, right.
There's
We're in
always
the
one.
same lane.
There's always one.
Appeal to nobody.
Perfect, man. It's
Yeah.
perfect.
Make it as difficult as possible.
Yeah, as inaccessible as we can be. Oh, you haven't seen this movie from the 1960s? Fuck you this week. We're doing this weird fucking Italian movie seen by 30 people in the world.
And
Once you find those people,
lose his
though,
mind.
they go anywhere. That's the cool part. They go with you absolutely anywhere. Once you grab the people, though,
Yeah.
that's what's so fun.
Yeah.
I was curious about this one too because do you guys track the analytics for your show at all?
I do sometimes, yeah.
You do. Like, is there anything that surprised you about it? Because I can tell you, there's one episode of The Loser that startled me a little bit.
We get weird pops, and for some reason, don't know why,
Yeah.
one of our biggest episodes is Death Hunt.
Death Hunt is a movie about the Canadian mad trapper
Of the Rat River
of the Rat River in Canada.
Yeah.
Like it's a
In the-
cool
Very
story.
in the 1930s.
I enjoy this. I like where we're going.
It's a Western manhunt. The movie's really cool as Charles Bronson.
and Lee Marvin.
Yeah.
Oh, it's 2 for 2 right there.
Yeah,
So,
I-
dude,
no
dude,
question.
it's a great
it's
movie.
it's the most badass like movie you could watch. I recommend it to anybody. But we do it just like as
Nobody's-
a regular episode, not expecting a pop for whatever reason. People still
They love
fucking
Death
watch
Hunt.
this thing. It's our
Love
biggest
Death Hunt.
episode. A movie we
No,
never.
it's not our biggest episode. Our biggest episode is the E-Rock.
Our
one.
biggest episode, no guest, just
No
us.
guess, yeah. Well, that's E-Rock.
We had
so,
E-Rock on.
yeah.
He's,
Oh, there you go.
he's a big hit.
People like E-Rock.
But
But yeah, for some reason.
Emphasis
like-
on big.
It's there. It's there.
Yeah, it's weird. Very strange.
What was the Bronson movie? I think it was called Last Man Standing. He was a bare knuckle brawler or something like the Great Depression.
Oh, I don't know.
It's
That
like
sounds
a-
like something we
he
need
was
to get
Knocking
learn
out
about.
people on like soup lines or bread lines or
Oh,
something.
hell
And
yeah.
It's like, hey, I
Yeah,
see
we gotta
something
watch
in you,
that.
kid.
Put that on the list.
Bronson, he had such a great line in that movie too. My dad would quote it to me. He would say, "What was it?" They asked him what he did for a living, and he's like a professional. He goes, "I knock people down." in that Charles Bronson way.
hard times.
That's pretty
Hard
good.
Times. There you go.
That was a pretty good impression.
The saga
not
of a
bad.
drifter who turns to illicit bare knuckle boxing in Depression era New Orleans.
This
Oh,
sounds
God.
great.
You know, it
Yeah.
reminds me of Far and Away. A little bit.
little,
Bare
oh,
knuckle
God.
boxing Tom Cruise.
Oh yeah, back when you were like, you're like, he might be into chicks. This is really, this is like a plausible thing here.
Yeah.
Oddly, you just mentioned that.
Nicole Kidman.
Jack Parsons is the thing I was talking to you guys about before.
Yeah.
You guys were kind of so. I've bounced between two ideas of what to throw at you guys because you guys know shit, man. You guys do all history too. My dad, because he's a xenophobe, we only
too.
talk American history. We only talk American history. I did a couple episodes where it was I tried doing International Loser,
Mhm.
and they were fun. It was very fun to talk about that stuff. The one guy we covered for International Loser was probably the most interesting guy of all time that we've ever covered. It's the analytics number I had for you before. The one that popped was we got a huge following in Germany for a while. We covered a guy named Otto Skorzeny.
Okay.
You
Oh,
ever
the
hear of
film
him?
director. He did the knockoff. He did Bad Fellows.
Otto Skorzeny, I like that.
Yeah.
Solid riff. Solid riff. The
Taxi driver.
Nazi driver.
even better. Mean Scheises. It's if you can Google him, if you can show up, because this
Yeah.
he's a horrifying looking person.
The Wolf of Wall Street.
That's perfect. But Otto Skorzeny was
how
I
you
saw a
spell
photo of it.
Oh, he came up, okay.
Yeah, Skorzeny, Skor.
Oh wow,
You
he
see that?
looks like a Bond villain.
I think he gave himself the I forget what it was. I think he either gave himself the scar on his cheek. He's got the classic Bond villain look.
Oh, wow.
yeah, he looks
Oh.
like Blofeld.
Yeah, it's he's a scary dude.
Oh.
But when I tell you he's actually like in terms of it's that thing where you have to separate. You guys are smart enough that we can separate the thing where if you're going to talk about the Nazis, you're like, listen, incredibly evil shit that went down there, a lot of hateful stuff. And then you have to sit there and you have to do almost the Operation Paperclip thing in your head where you're like,
Mhm.
all right, what did they do that was worth repeating and what do we absolutely stay away from? And this
What
guy,
how do we get to space?
yeah, it's there. It's there.
Get those scientists.
when I talk, I talk about that one on stage sometimes. There's always like people get a little bit weirded out at first by it, and then I'm just like, no, this isn't a conspiracy. That happened.
Yeah.
That one's
Yeah.
real, like verifiably real. You know, Werner von Braun.
Yeah, it's something that I thought was like common knowledge, but people really don't know about
I
it.
thought it was too.
No, unfortunately, conspiracy became a bad word around 2016. That's when it
Right.
became a bad word. And so all the stuff that you were like watching anything that Michael Moore was saying a few years earlier, they were giving Alex Jones a hard time for. It got really, it got complex. It got complex. But Scorsese was weird because he was a Nazi officer or whatever, helped develop the paratroopers in Germany, in Nazi Germany. And they had the best ones. We ripped off everything from them.
Sure.
Oh, they were first?
Except when they landed
were
on
first.
Crete. They had a hard time.
There's it's creepy too, because in the Navy, the SEALs that's the most badass. I'm very biased about that. Navy SEALs, most badass group you can ever come across. They're insane.
Fuck you, Army Rangers.
It's not even close. That's the scary part.
Do you resent Jesse Ventura for claiming to be a SEAL?
Well, he's a frogman.
Well,
That was the difference.
Yeah,
There's,
that's what I'm gonna say. Do you like,
underwater demolitions, UDT teams?
a fighter.
Well, the guy, Demo Dick Marcinko is the guy who created SEAL Team 6, by the way. And I thought this was the coolest thing. They had 2 SEAL teams. There was SEAL Team 1 and 2 or something like that he was a part of in Vietnam, and they were just dropping bodies left and right. But the problem was they were fighting in like Laos and Cambodia and stuff like that, where
Illegally.
they weren't supposed to be?
We weren't even supposed to be there. But it's
Right.
like, but listen, that the NVA is not going to obey territory either. So it's a weird thing where we
I'm
held
not even
ourselves.
supposed to be here today.
It's all there.
You got to
Man.
take down the Ho Chi Minh Trail, man.
I had a great pull the other day for when what's her name, the woman who got elected as prime minister or president of Mexico.
Yeah,
President.
yeah, the
It's
Jewish woman.
Claudia.
President.
Yeah, she had but it was they printed that like, you know, the female president of Mexico, and I'm like, all right, that's a cool story. And then right underneath they're like, she survived an election that saw 37 other candidates assassinated, and I just couldn't help myself. I wrote 37
In a row?
In a row.
Hey, get back here.
Snoogans.
But to put a bottom line to it, Scorsese was a wild dude. He helped create all that. Mussolini got captured once early on in World War
Yes.
II. I didn't know that. And they hid him in like the Swiss Alps at a ski lodge where he was under like heavy guard. Scorsese and the boys literally did a hang glider mission into the Swiss Alps and pretty much pulled off a James Bond thing where
They rescued him.
They got, he's the one who masterminded the whole escape.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Okay.
got him out of there.
Say what you will about Hitler. He's a good friend.
They needed him. That's what I think, because of what they also realized. Like, listen, Mussolini is losing the Italian people, so if we don't do something to keep them on our side, like we got to do something. We're like, okay, cool, we're not. And they're like, all right, so hey, we saved you. Your people are going to drag you through the streets with your naked body, but
And
not
your
yet.
wife.
But not yet. Yeah, the trippiest thing about him though is that after the war, he doesn't know what he's going to do, because now these guys are truly without a country. You can't go back, because even though he wasn't running a concentration camp or anything, you're not going to out loud say you were part of the Nazi regime.
Mhm.
And he was too decorated a soldier. So he winds up getting into, he starts going to Palestine, and he's training.
I
Of all
wonder
the
who he
places.
fought for.
Yes. Well, he winds up training. They actually think that they tricked him into working for Mossad, and he didn't know it. So that's where the conjecture lies in with him. So he's interesting in that one.
Huh.
But he's teaching guerrilla warfare to people, and one of the guys he trains is Yasser Arafat.
Wow.
So he actually helps train Yasser Arafat. And then as he's
Small
getting
world,
older,
huh?
yeah, as he's getting older now, he goes, I can't keep up with this. I got to find like a more relaxed job or something like that. And so he becomes the head bodyguard to Evita, the first lady of Argentina.
Wow.
So in just
It's
picture,
really rubbing elbows.
it's nuts. Dude, there was no part of his life. I sat there. I was like, because what we try to frame it on Losers, what part of your life do we make the movie about?
That is a fascinating story.
Well, because this is
Guy.
imagine Evita. Just picture Madonna singing "Don't
Right.
Cry for Me, Argentina," and right behind her is Nazi
Nazi.
war hero.
Enjoy a scar.
The man who rescued Mussolini.
Yeah.
Dude, I forget how he got the scar. I think it was like a fencing accident as a kid or something. But he was a scary looking dude. But yeah, he pulled off some pretty trippy stuff on that
That's
one.
sick.
Wow.
Scorsese was the man, and I say that it's such a we do such a delicate dance on
Right,
that when you're just
yeah.
like listen, if this guy was on our side, there's streets named after him.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Which, by the way, even scary enough is that there's actually still streets in
Germany.
Long Island that are named after Nazis.
It might as well be Germany.
Really? Like what?
There was a camp called Camp Siegfried in Long Island
I've
that
heard of
was
this.
it was the Nazi camp.
Mhm.
It was done by the German American Bund, and what their point was.
In like the
Yeah.
20s. Yeah.
It got into the 30s. They were protected under the First Amendment
Mhm.
until Hitler invaded Poland. That's when the whole national thing was like, we're not.
Yeah.
We're not. Like, I get it. You want to drink some beer and stuff, and
Mhm.
you know, you dismiss it as like, hey, it's my chance to hook up with a blonde girl. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
you get excited about that. But yeah, pretty scary shit with all that one, man.
Mm-hmm.
How close that really was to everything. And then Werner von Braun has all those. He has an observation tower named after him in the South still.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they mocked him too because there was a guy who outed him. Talking about because he helped create the missiles that were being fired in the Battle of Britain too. So it's like, listen,
V2.
this guy was like, see, you know your shit, man.
Yeah.
Also helped built by Jack Parsons, which all ties into jet propulsion and everything else like that. So it's funny. I mock Alex Jones, and then I saw it turning into him. But yeah, it's
So wait, so
scary
he
how
built
much
the
that happened.
V2 rocket and ended up in America, and then
Well, yeah, he was part of Paperclip.
Oh, he was in Paperclip.
Yes,
Oh, okay.
they brought him over. And by the way, it's not a hard decision. If we were all Nazi scientists, and they were like, "Hey, so Russia's going to chop you into little pieces until you tell them everything that you know," and America's like, "What part of Florida do you want to live in?" I think I know where I'm going.
I got some bad news though. It's 1940, about 30 years. There's gonna be a lot of old Jews coming your way.
Listen, we don't have air conditioning figured out.
Device angle. He is a beast.
Well, I think he was getting recognized. That's what some of it was too.
Yeah.
There was it's scary, man. That shit went down.
Isn't it like that scene in Marathon Man?
That's what I was just referencing.
I've actually never seen it. I only know it from the Seinfeld.
You never
reference.
saw Marathon Man?
I've seen the "Is It Safe" scene. That's it.
Oh wow, it's brilliant.
Yeah,
You'd love it.
Yeah, I've heard it's good. I've never.
I never saw
actually
it. There's a great story though, because what's his name played the.
Dustin Hoffman.
But who was the?
The Mahdi from Khartoum.
Oh,
It was,
Lawrence Olivier.
Lawrence Olivier.
Thank you,
Oh,
Lawrence
dear,
Olivier
dear.
and Dustin Hoffman, and I guess Hoffman was doing a scene where he was supposed to look like he didn't sleep the night before, so he kept himself awake. He looked like
It's a
total
great
shit. And
story.
Lawrence Olivier, you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Lawrence Olivier. So he goes, Dustin, what's wrong with you? He goes, oh, well, this I'm very method. This is like my character's supposed to be up all night, so I'm going to look like I was up all night. So I stayed up for the last 2 nights to make sure I really look like, and I'm not taking care of myself right now. And Lawrence Olivier just looks at me and goes, why don't you just act? Have you thought about that? That generational gap is a trippy one.
It's like you ever see that
Oh my beloved.
Yeah. that it's from Extras, where Ricky Gervais is talking to Ian McKellen, and he's asking him like how he's such a phenomenal actor. He's like, so I'm not a wizard, but I think of what a wizard would say in this situation, and I read the script, and I go, "You shall not pass," and that's it.
What was I'm so sorry because I have to take a swing because I think this is the only time that's going to ever be appreciated that
Do
I
it.
know this. Who was the guy? Who's the guy who directed Grizzly Man?
Werner Herzog.
He's a very, very popular on the show.
character.
You guys, thank God. All right, I think we're tuned in. We're all tuned in. I can ask this one. What's the name of the actor? I'm trying to remember the guy's name. The guy he tried to kill.
Klaus
Kinski.
Kinski.
We
When
just
you-
spoke about it.
Yes, I fucking knew it. I knew it. When you talked about a guy eating his own shit to try to make it look like he was crazy.
Yeah.
Klaus Kinski fought for the Germans in World War II, and then he, I guess, surrendered to get himself into a camp. If I remember, correct me when I'm wrong, because I have.
I'm not sure. I would think he might have been too young.
He was.
I never heard about his war record.
He did. He fought for the Germans against his will. That's what he said. He was forced into conscription, and then he surrendered himself into a camp, and then he learned how to act in an Allied camp because I think they were like, "We're going to put on a Christmas pageant," and he's like that's how he learned. He goes, "I've got the act." It's like Tobias from Arrested. I've got the acting bug now. And but yeah, I think the way he got out was he was actually eating cigarettes. To make himself sick, because I think if you could get yourself sick, then you could get out. Then there was the whole thing about his Werner was going to kill him during the one movie.
Yeah,
Aguirre.
the Wrath
That's-
of God.
We did it.
What a great movie, by the way.
Yes, we just did it.
The fact that guy was more imposing than the actual Aguirre who existed. I didn't know that one either. But
in all honesty, it probably was more closer to a documentary than a movie. They were
It's
stuck.
so
They were
visceral.
stuck.
can you like how many steps do you go through to get into the groove for that one? Because I watched it by myself on Ambien, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it very much, but it was it fucked me up for a minute too, because you're like, all right, I don't ever want to watch this again, but I'm never going to forget anything about it. But he's scary as shit in the movie, and then he's imposing too, because I knew him as the Clint Eastwood bad guy. He was always in the early spaghetti westerns that they would always have him get shot. They made him a hunchback in something too. He had a lot of weird stuff.
I saw another clip from another movie after Aguirre this week with Klaus Kinski.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you sent it. He was yelling at the
Oh, the DP.
Oh
The
yeah,
DP,
yeah.
yeah. They were on the set of like a movie they did after
Right.
Aguirre,
Yeah.
and Klaus Kinski is just screaming
Losing it.
about like the sound guy or the
Food,
DP.
yeah.
Yeah. He's a nut
He's a
job.
scary dude. His daughters had a fucked up story about him too. They said a lot of. I wanted to do a whole episode just on him, but my dad's like, we're going to talk about an actor, and I was like, but he was more than an actor, Dad. He was also a Nazi. But scary dude.
Crazy one at that.
So real quick on Klaus Kinski, he was born in 1926. He was conscripted in 1943. He's Polish.
Right on.
So he was a conscripted
He's probably
Pole.
a Polish German.
He was a conscripted Pole, and then
On the border.
well, he was born in Zoport, the free city of Danzig.
Okay, so that is
Loves Danzig.
that is
That-
German
German
territory
motherfucker.
that was taken from them in Versailles.
Okay.
Well, Germany's new too, right? Around the time he's born, Germany's a new idea. Germany didn't exist. till-
Germany was unified in 1870. So
There you go,
that's
fucking
some time.
So like 50 years.
Yeah.
And his father
weird.
was an opera singer from Germany. His mother was a Pole, I believe. And then conscripted in 43. So I'm going to believe he probably didn't want to serve,
Yeah, probably.
you know. And then he was in the POW camp. And in 46, he, you know,
He's out.
he's out.
Right.
Yeah.
Hanging with Werner.
Yep.
But which
You
Werner?
have to calm down. You must never
You must
listen
never
to this.
listen to this.
You got to
Oh,
explain
scary.
that.
No, Grizzly Man. I know
Yeah.
exactly what you're talking about.
We reference
I
that
won't,
all the
Werner.
time.
Werner. Run away, run away.
So you want to pick the next movies we got to watch?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
Yes.
Steve, you're first.
I want to do the death of Stalin.
Okay.
So
Surprise, surprise.
surprise, surprise.
I'm going to do Gettysburg, which
Oh.
is
We're
gonna
doing
come
Gettysburg?
Yeah, it's going to come out July 3rd, I
Oh, that's
believe.
going to be a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Why?
Because I'm just going to have to read a lot of shit to get them.
At least you just
Actually,
won
I'm just
that
going to
one.
quote the Iced
done
Earth
it.
album. I can do
Yeah.
that.
July 1863.
Do we have another pick? I don't remember.
We didn't talk about it. We had said open water, like discussing
Oh.
it, but
it was
I'm not-
your pick.
All right, so we got a
Sure.
Civil War movie. We got a post-World War II movie.
Do something modern.
I guess we should do something a little less war-y.
Hmm.
What do you feel like, guys?
Well,
Navy
I
SEAls.
had suggested.
Ooh, Navy SEAls.
I had suggested open water.
All right, we'll do open water, shark
Isn't that
movie.
just like people stuck at sea?
I don't know. I never saw it.
I saw it once. I mean, it's a true story.
Okay.
But I don't know.
Sure.
Shark movie.
Is there something
Sharks,
else you'd
yeah.
rather do?
Nah, it's not off the top of my head. So shark movie it
Yeah,
is.
that's
All right, shark
we'll do
movie.
the shark
It's
movie.
good for the summer, right?
I hear you. If you can't find the perfect storm, you go to open water. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I feel like that's probably a better pick.
Are you familiar with any of those three movies? Have you seen them?
Gettysburg, yes.
Yeah.
Gettysburg was that was your way to get a war movie into your classroom at school.
Right.
That was your entryway to that.
Not Gods and Generals.
No, I see. Gods and Generals came out when I was in high school.
Mm-hmm.
So then that was like a trip with my dad to go to the movie theater together.
All right.
That was a long one too. I think they gave you a break in the movie theater during that one.
I think it has an intermission. I
Yeah.
tried to watch it once. I didn't make it. I was a kid though.
I watched it. It's not as good as Gettysburg. But,
Yeah.
You know, it's
We saw Gettysburg.
yeah, we watched it. That movie kicks ass.
Yeah.
I'm excited to rewatch it.
You realize how accurate Tombstone was?
Yes.
Yes.
A lot of people told me, like, I remember, like, it wasn't really like that. This is all Hollywood. And I'm like, no, that's
No.
we
No,
did a Doc Holliday episode. I was like, this is it. This is exactly what went
Some
down.
of like the lines in the movie are ripped right from the guy's mouths.
100%, 100%.
Don't mind him. He's just drunk.
The main thing that's different is, you know, the friendship between the Doc at the end, you know.
Doc and
Yes.
Wyatt
What
were
was,
buddies at the end.
What was it? There was a little. I guess he had married. Oh,
A
also
Jew,
they
yeah.
they make her seem like she's a good person, and she's awful. Wyatt's wife straight up abused him. That is, that's the what was her name? Anna Nicole. She was the Anna Nicole to just abusing every privilege that her husband ever earned and just brutalizing his life.
I remember because I didn't know much going into it. I remember like asking you guys like, "Oh, is it this? There's no way this could be real." He didn't just walk out into the middle of the river and just say no and start blowing people away. And it's like, no, it's 100% accurate.
Yeah.
Like God was on his side.
Yeah.
Like bullets couldn't get him.
No.
No, he just said no in his sheer iron will. It's like,
Well, if you go look into the death of Johnny Ringo too, that one gets interesting because you're like, you can't prove that what the movie says didn't happen, but you can't prove it did either.
Yeah.
They found him under a tree.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
probably went down more like Goodfellas type shit. Like it was kind of.
I would
like,
think
you know,
so. Then a
Between
duel.
then, they were severing all ties between themselves and the OK Corral.
I like to believe the movie on that one just because
It's more fun.
Yeah.
Charlton Heston was protecting fucking everybody.
Yeah. So do you have anything you want to plug?
Yeah. Tell us about your show.
When's this one coming out, fellas?
This is coming out. I could give you the exact
2
date.
weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks. So that
Not this Wednesday, the Wednesday after.
yeah. So this is gonna come out. Sorry.
You're good, man.
No, this is gonna come out the 19th,
Right on, man. Right on.
Juneteenth.
Juneteenth, hell yeah, dude.
Oh, yeah.
In the Navy, by the way, I was the only white guy in my shop, so we were celebrating that for years before it became mainstream. It was good. I got a
Ahead
kid.
of the curve.
Yeah, I got
Juneteenth hipster.
They told me I wasn't allowed to bring. I wasn't allowed to cook. That's all they told me. They're like, "Listen, we're doing a party, but you're not allowed to cook." I was the only white guy that I don't want you near the grill. I don't
season
want you
your
to do
food.
anything. It was there. It was there. I brought a cake that said sorry.
My bad.
But the let's see, I would promote evergreen stuff. I do 90-second versions of the podcast on Instagram, which if you guys aren't messing around with YouTube Shorts yet, get into them. It's the YouTube Shorts are on fire right now to the point where if you hit refresh, as soon as you upload it, you're all of a sudden at like 2,000 views already. It's stupid how quick they get absorbed.
We did a couple, and they seem to be doing well.
Yeah, I'm trying to make a point to do them more.
Mhm.
I put one up yesterday. It got 2,000 views pretty quick.
It's awesome, man. It's a tool, and for what you guys do too. You have information. That's what people like. They like learning. The days of there's certain people that can do an interview, and then there's certain people that it's just like, all right, we're just gonna turn on the microphones and just bet on ourselves to be entertaining. And you guys are actually doing something. So I always respect a podcast that does
Well,
that.
We don't know about entertaining, but the intent is there.
You guys are prepared, though. That's the key. It's because it goes into a writing exercise, like what you guys wind up doing. So you're inadvertently writing something. And by the way, your show is going to be evergreen. That's the beauty of it.
Mhm.
Anybody who just hits record and bets on themselves, and a lot of my friends are comics that do that, and I love them, but no one wants to listen to it. If you start missing a couple episodes, you're not going to go back and be like, oh, what happened here? And you're like, oh no, that's so far back into what mattered. Like try listening to a pre-COVID comedy podcast. You're like,
oh God,
you're like,
yes.
oh, they don't even know what's coming.
They're in like February 2020. You know,
Yeah. You're
what's this disease going on?
I have like I'll go back and listen to old radio shows from 9/11, like as it's happening. And if you listen to like Howard Stern that morning, as the plane hits the towers, he's talking about Pamela Anderson's tits. And it's like
shortly thereafter, he was right back on tits.
Yeah.
That's actually, I remember feeling healed by that when Howard was talking about who was the hottest newswoman that was covering, post 9/11 America. And it wasn't Megyn Kelly yet, but whoever they were talking about would have been like a Megyn Kelly-like person. But dude, if you guys want to follow anything I do, it's the podcast. I try to put it out. It's so tough to do something weekly. You guys know that. You're suffering through it right now. But the show's called American Loser. We had a ton of episodes up. We're still trying to put more stuff out with it. The Instagram reels are on fire, which is great. Look into that. I can tell you, you're a history show, so I want more of them. You know what I mean?
Please. We want yours. Any dates coming up?
Road dates after. We just recorded my second album over at the Dojo of Comedy, which is up in Morris Plains. I can get you guys out to a show, man. Please hit me up anytime.
Yeah.
What's it called?
The second album, we're actually going to call it another room that'll actually appreciate my weird pulls. So it's instead of The Last Detail with Nicholson, I'm calling it The Last Recital because comedy specials aren't special anymore. They're Bobby Kelly called me. He goes, I don't even know what it is. They're not special anymore. They need a new name. And I said, what about Recital? You guys just all show up and bring me flowers, tell me how great I did. He goes, that's funny, dude. And I was like,
Faye Dunaway.
Faye wants flowers.
He had dude, it's perfect. It really is. Bobby is just a more confident Voss. That's kind of what it is. But I don't even know what day I'm on right now. I got I'm at the Starboard in Dewey Beach, Delaware on Tuesday night. I'm headlining Anchor Yacht Club in Atlantic City in June. That's for a PBA event, but that's actually for the Big Cop X. I'm trying to get a PBA card.
That's a good way to do it.
It's the Police Expo in New Jersey. They're putting me up there because I get called a cop enough on stage. That's all I ever get for acting bits too, is to play a cop. But I'm trying to think what else I have coming up, man. That's the big one. So then I'm going to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
You have a website people could
We
check?
do. Everything's on. It used to be kpburkesucks.com, but I think my girl changed it. She's slowly trying to make me respectable. Did not know this, but the place I'm at in Charleston, which is on the Monday when I'm down there in August. It's the first week of August, I believe. It's called the Swamp Fox. You guys know what it's named after?
Oh,
Francis Marion.
Francis Marion. Hell yeah, dude. But I didn't know this. Francis Marion had a Disney show.
Yes, he did.
Leslie Nielsen plays him.
How Lieutenant Frank Drebin as a role later made pop-up because Benjamin Martin from Patriot completely just took his story. But
And they won't put that show on Disney Plus. They'll dump fucking everything but that. I don't know. They have like Davy Crockett and shit, but it's like, I want to watch your weird Swamp Fox show.
My uncle loved it. Like the only reason I knew that existed was because he used to talk about it when I was a kid.
It was probably a fun show, man. My favorite was if you watch Treasure Island, the old one.
Oh yeah,
Not the true, not the black and white one.
Or
The
the
first one in
Muppet
color. That's the perfect one. But the guy who was famous for playing
Long John Silver.
Yeah, the guy they actually gave him a second movie because it was so popular, the first one that he did. But if you watch that one, they warn you immediately in the beginning. They're like, "Listen, I want you to know there's tobacco use in this movie."
Oh,
and I'm like, they're going to say a million more fucked up things. You're warning me about the fact that they're going to light a pipe at some point. But trippy shit, man. So, he's got my website up.
Oh yeah, I pulled it up.
Is it still KP Burke Sucks? I should know.
It is kpburkesucks.com. June 24th, you're going to be in Atlantic City, New Jersey.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
Right on. Come out to that. It's literally right off the boardwalk. So if you guys want to come through, please let me know, man. I get comps. So
Roger.
All right.
Hell yeah, dude.
Well, thanks for doing the show,
Thank
man. We
you.
really
Yeah,
appreciate
awesome.
it.
Absolute pleasure, man. It's at KP Burke Sucks is still my Instagram. So hit me up on there. And just so you guys know, when you do stuff that's interesting people follow you. So I've got a bunch of UFC fighters are huge history guys. The punter for the New York Giants is a huge history guy.
Really?
Yeah, the Scottish Hammer. He's pretty cool. But there's when you tap into something, it's not something that never come up in conversation. You'd never know about. So when you do something topical like you guys are doing, the rewards are very strange, but they're there. So people are desirous for what you guys are doing. Is what I'm saying.
Nice.
Thank you. See?
Thanks a
good.
lot, man. All right. Well, we'll see you next time, ladies and gents.
Listening. Now you're going to have to suffer through Brian's outro.
Brian's going
Last
to
one
take a
was
deep
65
breath and
seconds.
This is my outro, which I get made fun of for every single episode.
And you will this.
Ready? I want to give a big thank you to everybody listening and or watching. We greatly appreciate it. I want to give a big thank you to Tell 'em Steve Dave, Brywalt Q Get 'em, Lance Record down in the studio. I want to give a big thank you to our
That's
guest,
the important
KP Burke.
part.
Thank you. What? Thanking them?
Well, that's the important
that's the
part.
important
Yeah. After everything else is bullshit.
All right, so they think it's bad that I plug like the website and like the social
No, it's
media
not
at the
bad.
end.
It's so
Cool.
tedious.
Well, it fucking has to get done.
And you always interrupt him, so it's longer.
Check us out on
I'll
all.
shut up.
All right, go to www.
I'm not going to talk
All right,
anymore.
thank you. I said, now I see where this bit's headed. Okay. Yeah. Go to reviewinghistorypod.com, buy some merch, check all the stuff out there. You can see our guest page. Follow the show on all social media at Reviewing History.
You mumbling, stuttering, fuck you.
You try to do the fucking intro one time. Follow the show on all social media at Review History
Don't say
Pod
you
on
was
Twitter,
alright.
Review History Pod everywhere else. Follow me personally on all social media at Brian Rupert. That's with 2 P's. Follow me on Letterboxd. I rank and review every single movie I watch, even the ones in my personal life. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you next time. Bye.